I was just about to log out, and one of my elders opened the vault. Mm, 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 mm. Wow. I just want to share this with you. I thought I'd come on and play a little music for you and share one of the seven heads, one of the most powerful men I've ever had the opportunity of being taught by. It's one of the original seven heads of the original school, the original One West. Wow, wow, wow. Let's see. All right, so I just want to get it in the right place. Okay, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna start it off with a little fire.
I've been in the city too long, our cold spirit gone, feeling far from home. But I know you can lead me back. Walking with guilt in my lungs, praying you ain't done with me. Nightmares in my sleep, feeling like the enemy want with me. Temptation on speed, dial, pain on replay. Tryna walk straight in a world that don't even move one freeway. Lost brothers, lost peace, almost lost my name. Then I read that book again and it hit me the same. You didn't call me slave, didn't name me pain. You called me Israel and you never changed. I don't wanna fall through every trap and lie. Now I'm calling out, most high, I'm tired. Lead me to Zion, where the silence ain't loud with regret, where the streets don't bleed and the sky don't forget, where the curses break and the names reset. Lead me to Zion, where my soul can breathe in peace, where the prophets walk and the chains release. I don't wanna die in this Babylon dream, so lead me to Zion. Got tattoos of trauma, memories on loop, fake friends in the crowd, but nothing in the truth. I done masked my pain in designer and sin, but no chain can flex when the war's within. Try church, try dream, try running it all, but the scriptures hit different when he calling you home. I ain't perfect, but I'm listening now. If Zion's the end, then Lord show me how. I don't want to fall through every trap and lie. Now I'm calling out, most high, I'm tired. Oh, yeah. Lead me to Zion, where the silence ain't loud with regret, where the streets don't bleed and the sky don't forget, where the curses break and the names reset. Lead me to Zion, where my soul can breathe in peace, where the prophets walk and the chains release. I don't wanna die in this Babylon dream, so lead me to Zion.
You said we're not forgotten. You said we'd remember in the land of our captivity. You said, if we turn and obey, you'd gather us. So I'm here. I'm ready.
to Zion.
Of Romans, the 3rd chapter. Whose Bible is this? Whose people get stupid? The records called the Bible are the records of the Israelites. The Greeks and the Romans took these records from the Israelites and they named it Biblos. That's how the name Bible came about, which means composition, which means a collection of compositions. Whose compositions did they collect? The Israelites. And named it what? The Bible.
Romans 3:1. What advantage then had the Jew?
So what advantage then has the Jew, has the Israelite over all the other nations in this earth? When it speaks about an advantage, you have to have somebody to have an advantage over, right? Read it again. What other nations of this world?
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Or what profit is there in the covenant that the Most High made to the Israelites to be his people through the circumcision?
Much every way.
What do every way mean? All ways. Much every way means everything belongs to the Israelites. That's why Christ said the earth, the meek shall inherit the world, the earth. Okay, because the meek are the Israelites.
Chiefly because
chiefly because that unto the Israelites
were committed the oracles of the Most High.
Was committed the oracles of God. Meaning what? What is the oracles of God? The Bible. His word. That's what the oracles of God is, his word. Read it again from the first.
What advantage then had the Jew?
What advantage then have the Jew, meaning the Israelite, over all nations on this earth?
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Or what profit is there in the covenant of circumcision that the Most High made with the Israelites to be his people?
Much every way.
Much every way, because everything belongs to the Israelites.
Chiefly because that unto them,
chiefly meaning mainly, because that unto them
were committed the oracles of God.
Were committed the Bible. You got that? Is that super clear? Romans the 9th chapter and the 4th verse. Start in the bottom of the 3rd verse.
My kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption.
My kinsmen, let's start with my brethren.
My brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites.
Now, do we have to ask who he's talking about? Hell no, because he done named it. Crystal clear. Who are Israelites,
to whom pertaineth the adoption.
To whom pertaineth the adoption. What is the adoption? Christ down on the cross. Pertain meaning belonging to. So Christ down on the cross only pertains to the Israelites. It don't pertain to the whole world.
And the glory.
And the glory, what is the glory? The kingdom of heaven. That only pertains to the Israelites. And is a supposition, meaning it's adding to what's been said earlier.
And the covenants.
And the covenants, who are the covenants made to? You can read about that from Genesis to the book of Deuteronomy, the first 5 books. The covenants were made to the Israelites.
And the giving of the law.
Who was the law given to? Moses and the Israelites. You can read about that from the book of Exodus to the book of Deuteronomy.
And the service of God.
Who was made the people of the Most High. You can read about that from Genesis to Deuteronomy.
And the promises.
Who was all the promises of the Bible made to? The Israelites.
Whose are the fathers?
Who are the fathers of these writings called the Bible? Israelites. Let's explain it so it'll be crystal clear to you. Genesis to the book of Deuteronomy, the first 5 books, was written by Moses and the Israelite scribes that was with him. All the rest of the books from that point to Genesis were written by Israelites. The book of Joshua, written by Joshua. Who is Joshua? Israelite. And the Israelite scribes that was with him. Chronicles are the records of the Israelites, the history of the Israelites. Kings or the history of the kings of the Israelites. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel is the history of the Israelites. Matthew's, what was he, an Israelite? John, Luke, Peter, Paul. From Matthew's to Revelation is Israelites. Hold your hand down, listen a minute. Listen so you can learn what it's saying. Whose are the fathers? That's who the fathers of these records are, Israelites. Listen good, so this will answer your question. So you shouldn't ask no more stupid questions about the other nations, because this ain't a part of that. The other nations' place on this earth is slaves. Has always meant to be slaves. The only reason why they're ruling now is because we broke the laws. I'm going to clear that up. After we finish this, you should just listen to what the brothers got to say and learn. Come and learn. Because what I'm giving you is proof that this Bible is for the Israelites. That Christ came to save the Israelites. Whose are the fathers? Whose are the fathers of these records? The Israelites. Let them listen. See, that's why you're always standing on the side. What you got to do? Of Romans, the 3rd chapter. Whose Bible is this? Whose people get stupid? The records called the Bible are the records of the Israelites. The Greeks and the Romans took these records from the Israelites and they named it Biblos. That's how the name Bible came about. Which means composition, which means a collection of compositions. Whose compositions did they collect? The Israelites. And named it what? The Bible.
Romans 3:1. What advantage then had the Jew?
So what advantage then has the Jew, has the Israelite over all the other nations in this earth? When it speaks about an advantage, you have to have somebody to have an advantage over, right? Read it again.
What advantage then had the Jew?
What advantage then have the Jew? Meaning what? Compared to the other nations of this world.
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Or what profit is there in the covenant that the Most High made to the Israelites to be his people through the circumcision?
Much every way.
What do every way mean? All ways. Much every way means everything belongs to the Israelites. That's why Christ said the earth, the meek shall inherit the world, the earth. Okay, because the meek are the Israelites.
Chiefly because that unto them,
chiefly because that unto the Israelites
were committed the oracles of the Most High.
Was committed the oracles of God. Meaning what? What is the oracles of God? The Bible. His word. That's what the oracles of God is, his word. Read it again from the first.
What advantage then had the Jew?
What advantage then have the Jew, meaning the Israelite, over all nations on this earth?
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
Or what profit is there in the covenant of circumcision that the Most High made with the Israelites to be his people?
Much every way.
Much every way, because everything belongs to the Israelites.
Chiefly because that unto them,
chiefly meaning mainly, because that unto them
were committed the oracles of God.
Were committed the Bible. You got that? Is that super clear? Romans the 9th chapter and the 4th verse. Start in the bottom of the 3rd verse.
My kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption.
My kinsmen, let's start with my brethren.
My brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites.
Now, do we have to ask who he's talking about? Hell no, because he done named it. Crystal clear. Who are Israelites,
to whom pertaineth the adoption.
To whom pertaineth the adoption. What is the adoption? Christ down on the cross. Pertain meaning belonging to. So Christ down on the cross only pertains to the Israelites. Don't pertain to the whole world.
And the glory.
And the glory, what is the glory? The kingdom of heaven. That only pertains to the Israelites. And is a supposition, meaning it's adding to what's been said earlier.
And the covenants.
And the covenants, who were the covenants made to? You can read about that from Genesis to the book of Deuteronomy, the first 5 books. The covenants were made to the Israelites.
And the giving of the law.
Who was the law given to? Moses and the Israelites. You can read about that from the book of Exodus to the book of Deuteronomy.
And the service of God.
Who was made the people of the Most High. You can read about that from Genesis to Deuteronomy.
And the promises.
Who was all the promises of the Bible made to? The Israelites.
Whose are the fathers?
Who are the fathers of these writings called the Bible? Israelites. Let's explain it so it'll be crystal clear to you. Genesis to the book of Deuteronomy, the first 5 books, was written by Moses and the Israelite scribes that was with him. All the rest of the books from that point to Genesis were written by Israelites. The book of Joshua, written by Joshua. Who is Joshua? An Israelite. And the Israelite scribes that was with him. Chronicles are the records of the Israelites, the history of the Israelites. Kings are the history of the kings of the Israelites. 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel is the history of the Israelites. Matthews, what was he? An Israelite. John, Luke, Peter, Paul. From Matthews to Revelation is Israelites. Hold your hand down. Listen a minute. Listen so you can learn what it's saying.
Whose are the fathers?
That's who the fathers of these records are. Israelites. Listen good, so this will answer your question. So you shouldn't ask no more stupid questions about the other nations, because this ain't a part of that. The other nations' place on this earth is slaves. Has always meant to be slaves. The only reason why they're ruling now is because we broke the laws. I'm going to clear that up. After we finish this, you should just listen to what the brothers got to say and learn. Come and learn. Because what I'm giving you is proof that this Bible is for the Israelites. That Christ came to save the Israelites.
Whose are the fathers?
Whose are the fathers of these records? The Israelites. Let them listen. See, that's why you're always standing on the side. What you got to teach it? What you got to learn from me? You're supposed to be listening. That's what the problem with you so-called Negroes, West Indian, Puerto Ricans now, is you don't want to listen. You learn with your ears, not with your mouth. With your ears.
And of whom?
See, you right in your mouth. What is your nationality? Yeah. What tribe you come out of? Okay, so who? Who's that? The Shamir tribe. Who's that? There's 12 tribes in Israel. I ain't never heard of the Shamir tribe. That's foolishness. That's madness. You should teach him. You're the father or what? You so teach him right. There's 12 tribes in the nation of Israel. Listen, just listen. Come on. That's why I see some of these people that done woke up and found out the Israelites gonna have to be put to death. Because this madness ain't gonna be tolerated. If you don't want to, if you ain't interested in what's being said, move on. You ain't got nothing to say. Move on. Because we ain't for no foolishness. We ain't for no foolishness from you ones that say you're Israelites. We ain't for no foolishness from Negroes, West Indian, Puerto Rican, so on. We ain't for no foolishness. So if you don't want to listen to what's being on, take your family, move on down the road. Because we're not out here to play with nobody. I'm telling you straight, we're not out here to play with nobody.
Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came?
Whose are the fathers? Who are they? Israelites. And of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came. That's a straight, clear answer, telling you that as far as the flesh is concerned, on this planet Earth, Christ only came for Israelites. Continue.
Who is over all?
Who is over all? Christ was chosen to be over all. If you can't come through Christ, you ain't coming. So you got some Israelites out there that don't believe in Christ. So goodbye to them.
The Most High blessed forever. Amen. Not as though the word of the Most High had taken none effect.
Because the word of the Most High has taken effect. People walk around here in their stupidity talking about it ain't taking effect. Just like it says in 2 Peter. Hey, ever since the fathers went to sleep, give me that. 2 Peter 3:7. Ever since the fathers went to sleep, I want you to hold what you got. Everything is the same. That's what a lot of people saying out there. They're all tied up in all these mad philosophies. And some Israelites, the same thing, tied up in the mad philosophies that the so-called white man done left. And white so-called white man ain't got nothing to do with Israel.
For they are not all Israel which are of Israel.
For you're not all Israel. What you're Israel, but you're not all Israel that the Most High want to bring back. What you're of Israel mean you ain't in your right mind, so you're going to have to die. 2/3 of you going to have to die. Only 1/3 of the nation of Israel is coming back.
Neither, because they are the seed of Abraham.
Now he's going to the rest of the children that Abraham had. Ishmael and the children that Abraham had from Keturah. They are not the children of the Most High either.
Are they all children?
Yeah, meaning they're not the children of the Most High.
But in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
And Isaac didn't have all the nations on this planet Earth. He just had Esau and Jacob.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh.
That is, they which are the children of the flesh, meaning the other nations in this world, like the Africans, the Arabs, the Chinese, the Japanese, the East Indians, so on.
These are not the children of God.
So that's telling you that the other nations straight up are not the children of God.
All right, some of this might be milk, but like I said, for some people might not know at all. So we're going to start at the very beginning and then take it from there, all right? So the first thing we want to do is let's get Romans 9 and 13. Let me know when you got it.
Salaki, sir. Romans You said 9 and 13?
Romans chapter 9 and verse 13. So we're going to go through the entire breakdown of who Esau is, all right?
Romans chapter 9, verse 13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated.
So now, as it is written, anytime that we see as it is written, then we know that this is talking about in the Old Testament, because the New Testament is always quoting the Old Testament. Now, you're really going to need this breakdown for Christians and brothers and sisters who believe that they're Israelites, but really they don't understand that they're still suffering from certain aspects of Christianity, where Esau cannot be the so-called white man or our oppressor, because if he is, then you understand, then they can't save him. And everything inside Christianity is trying to get you to love another nation, love the oppressor, you understand, save the oppressor, serve the oppressor. And these are the things that we have to fight inside of our minds. So when we see here that Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, whenever you talk to the Christian, you say, does God hate? They'll say, no, he's only love. Then you bring them here. And then you see here, Esau have I hated. Then they say, well, you're not God. Well, I never said I was God. Right now, what we're talking about is who God hates. Now, a minute ago, you said God did not hate. Now we're starting to see that God does. So is the Bible lying, or are you? And then from there, you're going to start to see that they either want to double down on it, or they're going to say something along the lines of, oh, well, that book was written so long ago. Well, now you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now you want to completely discard the scriptures because you've seen something that doesn't fit your philosophy inside of it. So you want to be philosophical. You want to have a doctrine instead of just dealing with the truth, instead of just dealing with the word. So now let's go down to the birth. So just so y'all know, this was being quoted inside of Malachi when it said, as it is written. But for time's sake, because this might be a little bit of a longer breakdown, but let's get into, let's go to Genesis, the 25th chapter. Let me know when you got it. We're going to go to Genesis 25, and we'll start at verse 21, all right? You could read it when you got it. And if anybody has a question,
I was muted.
No sweat. If anybody has a question, you could just say Salakia, and then we'll take your question. And then, you know what I'm saying, I'll also be monitoring the chat, and then we'll be able to go from there, all right?
Count out of one count. Genesis chapter 25, verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived. Verse 22. And the Lord, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
You understand? So now, okay, I see a question real quick. So the sister said, where in Malachi? In Malachi, the first chapter. All right, Malachi, in Malachi chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, it says, I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So when you read inside of Romans 9 and 13, when it says, Jacob have I loved, yet Esau have I hated, that's being quoted from Malachi, the first chapter, all right? Read that verse from the top again.
Count out of one count. Genesis chapter 25, verse 21. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren.
You understand? So she was unable to have children. You understand? So now he entreated of the Lord. And just so y'all know, when you entreat of the Lord, you entreat in a man of the Lord. We have to get out the notion that all of us just talk to God. You understand? Now, does that mean that the Most High cannot communicate with you? No. But It's not like picking up a phone call. It's not like it's just activated. It's not like you got to look for a sign. When you entreat of the Lord, you entreat of a man of the Lord. Go ahead.
Count out of one kind. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived.
You understand? So the Lord heard this, you understand, and now she conceives, and now she's going to have a child. Go ahead.
And the children struggled together within her.
So now we're seeing that there's children here, there's twins, and we have been fighting with our oppressor since the womb. You understand? Meaning we have literally been fighting with Esau since we were in the womb together. Go ahead.
Count out of one kind. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus?
So she's saying, like, you know, if the Lord is with this, if he's saying, you know what I'm saying, I'm pregnant. If this is his will, why am I thus? Why is there so much turmoil going on inside me? Go ahead.
And
You in the matrix right now.
Oh, Salakia. And she went and inquired of the Lord. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
And she went and inquired of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
Now, this is important, too, because this is something else. Whenever anybody says, oh, when was Israel called a Gentile, the word Gentile, nation, and heathen are all synonymous. So when you read that in Hebrew, it's going to say Goyim or Gawayam. You understand? Meaning nations. And over time, it became derogatory because we call each other Ak, Akwath, brother, sister, family. So if you call somebody another nation, you're saying they're not your brother. You're not their sister. But sometimes in proper context, it's just saying a nation. Israel is a nation, is one of the nations. All right. So it's all about context. So 2 nations are in thy womb, meaning that the Lord, everybody comes from Adam. Yes, we know this. But the Lord had separated people and created new nations. That's how there are different races on the planet right now. So don't let the Christian turn around and say, oh, there's one race, the human race. No, that's not true. Because if you ask that same Christian what's your nationality, they're not going to say they're East Indian. They're not going to say they're Chinese. They're going to say something along the lines of, I'm black, I'm a Puerto Rican. They might even say I'm a Christian, as if your religious affiliation is your identity. You understand? When that is not your identity. The Lord created different races or different nations on the planet. Read on.
Count out of one kind. And 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
And now 2 manner of people, if you ever hear somebody's mannerisms, how they act, man, I wish y'all would be able to see the actual visuals. Subscribe to ISUPK Boston, you know what I'm saying? But if y'all can even type this in online, you know what I'm saying? Like, write it down in your notes, and when this is done, go type in an interracial wedding. And I think the International Players Anthem or something was on. And it's on a white couple, and then it turns to the crowd, and you see Jake getting it in. And then it turns back, and then, like, the white folks are completely embarrassed. You get what I'm saying? Because, like, we don't dance the same. We don't act the same. You know what I'm saying? We don't culturally, they are different. If black folks or Hispanic folks threw a party on the same night of the so-called white man, the music would be different. The food would be different. The dance would be different. The style of dress would be different. So why is it that we have to act like we're all the same or we're all one when we are different down to our spirit, down to what we eat, down to how we move? Would it make any sense? There are 2 different people inside of this womb. Go ahead.
Count out of one kind. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
We left off at manner of people.
Oh, manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
And we have to realize that we are separated. You understand? Meaning that after they crack that matrix, after they come out, these are 2 separate nations of people. And these are the last 2 nations on the earth. You understand? Jacob and Esau are the last 2 nations that the Lord created. Read on. Meaning Israel and the Edomites. Go ahead.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people.
Now, we already know that we're stronger than them. And this is not only talking about physicality, this is talking about spiritually as well. You understand that when you see us, Spiritually, we're stronger than them. That's why as soon as the stock market drops, they're jumping out of windows. You know what I'm saying? Because they can never handle the oppression that we handled. It's why as soon as you try to infringe on any of what they believe are their rights, they start going crazy. Go on Instagram and search Karen's Gone Wild, and you will see that they cannot deal with any amount of pressure, they can't be told no, because they're a very childlike race. You understand? 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 separate manner of people, 2 different manner of people, which shall be separated from thy bowels. And we are stronger than them. Even if you look at it physically, man, they need steroids to be able to do what we do. You know what I'm saying? They would never be able to handle anything that we do, anything that we go through. They can't compete on that level. The only thing that they're better than us at is wickedness. Because the level of evil and wickedness that they do, we wouldn't even perceive. It's like we find the humanity in everything. But there was a reason why it was called chattel slavery. Because they legitimately looked at us as cattle. Now, we look back and we see our family, our brothers, our sisters, our ancestors. They literally saw livestock. When at the end of the day, they're really the animals. They're really the beast of the field, the most subtle beast of the field. Read on.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
So now we're going to get into how, now we know that the elder is Esau, right? So why is it that we are serving the elder? Because we were punished from the Lord. And there, I'm going to get into the scripture about how the yoke from his neck was broken for a time, not forever, strictly for a time. And that during this time, you understand, what it boils down to is that we are serving them. And this is almost allegorical in the sense of Esau comes out first, Jacob comes out second, letting you know Esau's kingdom will be first and then ours. And then that's when the elder shall serve the younger. We're going to get into all of that. All right. Read on.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Verse 25.
Good.
And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment.
Good.
And they called his name Esau.
So now, boom, we have the twins inside her womb, and the first one comes out red. Now, the same way black folks are not black, you understand? Like if I'm looking around, I got my PlayStation here, you understand? That's black. These headphones, those are black. My boots, those are black. You understand? Black and Hispanics are different shades of brown. You understand? From a high yellow all the way up to, you understand, a very rich dark chocolate. Now you turn around and you see Esau, they are different shades of red and pink, which pink is a derivative of red. You understand? So what ends up happening is, whenever one of them are under stressful situations, how do they look when they're born? They come out red. If they're angry, beat red. What do you call a white man from the South? A redneck. All right, and you can go and you can look up, just Google Caucasian, and you're going to see a man who is red and hairy. And the reason as to why this is saying, because what we're going to find out is they don't mention anything about a complexion when it comes down to Jacob. Why? Because that was normal. Because the vast majority of the nations, all the nations on the earth have melanin. That's why like blackity black folk like bug me out when they talk about melanin. Like, you're the only person with dark skin on the planet. Doesn't make any sense. Everything, listen, plants have melanin. You understand? Like melanin is not like a completely rare thing. We're talking about pigmentation. Read on.
Not of one kind. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel.
So now, why was his hand holding his heel? Because remember, we were fighting inside of the womb. So while we were fighting, you understand, Jacob grappled his heel. Read on.
And his name was called Jacob.
Good.
And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them.
You understand? 3 scores. So a score is 20. So this is 60 years old. Read on.
And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field.
And you see that today. You understand that? That's why you got Dog the bounty hunter. You got Joe Exotic dealing with the tigers. Cecil the lion was killed by a white dentist in Hoboken. Steve
Salakia, sir. I'm a wrestling fan, and there's a wrestler named Brock Lesnar. He's an avid hunter. You know what I'm saying? He's like a Edomite to the definition. My man put deer urine all over his body just so he can hunt deer.
And that's exactly what they do. They'll cover themselves in deer piss just so that this way they could get the kill. They will sit in a tree stand for hours on end with a bow or with a rifle in order to get their kill. Because that's really who they are. And what you're seeing is, you got to remember, it always bugs me out when people say I'm spiritual. You understand? This is spiritual identifying markers. You understand? And that's how strong this spirit is, that it gets passed down from generation to generation, that you can look back and say, yeah, clearly this is the progenitor of the Edomites, of the so-called white race, because this is how they act. Read on.
Khan out of one Khan. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents.
Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, because, like, realistically, even in the summertime, where do you see a lot of black and Hispanics? We just kicking it. If you got a tent in the backyard, you might be, chilling out in the backyard late night, sipping some wine, whatever the case may be. A lot of times you see us on the stoop. You see us on the corner. You see us just kicking it. Not trying to bother nobody. We ain't trying to, chase no stray dogs or animals up the block. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of that. We chilling. You know what I'm saying? But you see white folks, what do they got to do? They see, oh, what's going on over there? All it takes is for one brother to be running and everybody else is gone. We ain't asking no questions, because we are plain people. Just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Ain't trying to bother with nobody. Ain't trying to fuss. You know what I'm saying? Like you keep the peace, we keep the peace. That's how it's supposed to be. Read on.
28. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison.
Meaning that
because
because he was hunting, right? He was bringing something to the table. He ate of his venison. He brought something, you understand, beneficial to the table. Go ahead.
But Rebekah loved Jacob.
So this love is talking about, you understand, like favoritism. You understand? Like Rebekah was more inclined towards Jacob because she remembered what was said to her, that the elders shall serve the younger, that Jacob was supposed to be chosen. You know what I mean? So now, picture you got one of your kids that sleeps in and the other one went and got a job. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you respecting the hustle. And then this one's just hanging around the house. He's playing video games. You know what I'm saying? But mom loves him because he's around. Good.
Salakia, sir.
Uh-huh.
That's similar to, like, mama's boys, how they are not likely to leave the crib and their mothers love that.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to call him that, but yeah, like, you know what I'm saying, he around the crib, and, you know what I'm saying, mom's happy that he's around. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to go as far as say that, but, you know what I'm saying? But,
Salakia, Cap.
Good.
So, when I read that and it says she loved, but Rebekah loved Jacob, do you, my question would be, because you said that was almost like a sign of favoritism, and my question would be, or for people that, for Christians, I guess, would be, is that wrong to have a type of favoritism?
I mean, no, the Lord's got favorites. Who's the Lord's favorite son? I'm asking.
Oh, Israel? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Salakia, Christ.
Yahushua. Yahushua is his favorite son. What's the Lord's favorite flower?
The lily.
The lily. You understand? What's the Lord's favorite bird? Fowl. The dove.
The dove.
You understand? He has a favorite everything. You know what I'm saying? So everybody could have a favorite. You know what I mean? It's like if you had two kids, right? And one of them yeah, I don't want to go to that extreme, but let's just say one of them joined a gang and was in the streets, and the other one was on the honor roll, helped at home and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one would you want to give more to?
Right, the one that was on the honor roll.
You understand, the one who's doing the will that you understand you put into him, and that's the same thing. Like even my son tells me he doesn't like school, so I said that's fine. You got to play the game. You got to at least play till you graduate high school. You know what I'm saying? I said, but in the meantime, you better find yourself a skill. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you let me know what skill you want to do. He wants to paint. So now every day I have canvases for him, and I let him paint like one picture a day. You know what I'm saying? Hang them up around my house and see if it takes off. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't want to paint, we find something else. But I tell him, without school, you need a skill. You need a trade. You need something that you can do with your hands that you'll always be able to make money. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's that is in essence, you know what I'm saying, like what you see when it comes down to your children, that you teach them and you see the lessons that they learn. Now, if he grows up, doesn't want a skill and starts selling drugs, then I have to turn my back on him, and life has to teach him the lessons that he would not allow me to teach him without pain and without harm. And then that in essence, you understand, is how you know what I'm saying, things go. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with favoritism. Even the Lord has favoritism. It's got like, who's his favorite nation? Israel. That's life. All right. Any other questions?
The one.
All right, I don't see any other questions in the chat. Once again, if y'all want to vocalize y'all questions, you can raise your hand and come up on stage, or you can type them into the chat. All right, let's read on.
29. And Jacob sowed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage.
So now we see here is that he's cooking a stew, all right? And in the scriptures, it also talks about lentils and all that. But, like, remember, like, we're not vegans here. You understand? And somebody will try to say, like, oh, this is just vegetables and all that. No, he was cooking a stew, and you understand, and it wasn't even finished. Wasn't even completely cooked. You understand? And if you go and you take a look at the so-called white man, how does he eat his meat? You understand? Don't even got to be cooked all the way. They'll eat with blood. You understand? We're the ones who cook our food, you understand, medium well or well. You understand? Well done. Getting all the blood out of it. You understand? That's inside our laws, that we cannot eat meat with blood. Go ahead.
For I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom.
Read on.
And Jacob said, sell me this day thy right.
So now Jacob says, all right, well, sell me your birthright. Because Jacob understood the importance of a birthright. He understood what it meant to be the firstborn son. He understood what it meant to have an inheritance. Go ahead.
Count out of one kind. Sell me this day. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
So now what you see here is that this is where one is stronger than the other. Because he's so weak and so carnal that his flesh, you understand, just that little lust that he couldn't even wait a little bit longer to not eat. His birthright, you understand, was worth less than some pottage, less than one single meal. Go ahead.
Count out of one kind. Verse 33. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob.
You understand? He sold his birthright. And this is why Jacob is the chosen. So not only was it prophesied that he would be the chosen, but this is how it enacted physically. Remember, what you bind on heaven, you bind on earth. What you bind on earth is bound in heaven. But doesn't mean that there's not transactions that have to be completed in order for it to happen. This is how it happened. He sold him his birthright. So don't let the Christians ever turn around and tell you, what the hell the Christians want to say? Oh, he stole it. 'Nah, he sold it fair and square right here. Read on.
34. And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. You understand? He sold his birthright. And this is why Jacob is the chosen. So not only was it prophesied that he would be the chosen, but this is how it enacted physically. Remember, what you bind on heaven, you bind on earth. What you bind on earth is bound in heaven. But doesn't mean that there's not transactions that have to be completed in order for it to happen. This is how it happened. He sold him his birthright. So don't let the Christians ever turn around and tell you, what the hell the Christians want to say? Oh, he stole it. Nah, he sold it, fair and square right here. Read on. Turn out of one kind. 34. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Esau despised his birthright. So what you see here is that what this has to do is with the chosen and the not chosen. This is the chosen seed and the serpent seed. And this has been playing. If you've been paying attention to the classes over the past few weeks, we've gone through Genesis. We've gone through how we've had the law since Adam. We've gone through the breakdown of Genesis. So I'm gonna retract a little bit. So some of this might be a review, and it might even click a little deeper. But before we leave the chapter, right? Remember, all of these are spiritual attributes as to proving that this is Esau. All right. So now remember, when the children were born, it said, and he that this is verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. So not only was this already prophesied, you understand, but it was fulfilled here. And then later on, we're going to see where else that it was mentioned. So first, what I want to do is let's go to 2nd Ezra 6 and 9.
Concave, you need me to
Yeah, if you know what, Kabad, if you want to take 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, and then Rakah, if you want to take Genesis 3 and 15, and we're gonna start with Ezra's, and then we'll go over to Genesis.
So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth."
You understand? And even the way that they came out, you understand, meaning Esau was born first and then Jacob followed, shows you that Esau's kingdom would be first and then our kingdom would come. So this was like mercy being shown onto Ezra's, because he was talking about, man, like, we've been in captivity. When is our time going to come when we're going to be back in rulership? When is our kingdom going to come? So he was explaining the nation that would be in charge, which would signify to us that our kingdom was going to come next. So now, you understand, if when we were in the Assyrian captivity, it wasn't time. When we were in the Persian captivity, like for example in the book of Esther or in the book of Daniel, it wasn't time. Now when you see the Greeks come, you see Esau's ruling. Now we start to see we're getting there. And then they created the Greco-Roman Empire, and it was the Romans who put Christ to death. And that was ball game, because then what did Christ say right before he died? Now is the prince of this world cast out, meaning that we have been in the last days since they put Christ to death. And this is letting you know that this is our last captivity, because America is the continuation of the Roman Empire. So for this time that we've been dealing with them under this punishment, under this plague, it has been the last days. And it might be a little bit of a hard concept to understand, but remember, a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. So this captivity, all this time that we're going through, has just been 2 days for him. Now to us, it seems like forever, but for him, time is nothing. You understand? And lets you know, if it's only been 2 days, that means they killed his son 2 days ago. So just think about how hot the Lord is. You understand? Just think about how heated he is, how angry he is, and ready to judge. You understand this world that we in right now. Read on.
Do you need me to read the rest of 2nd Ezra, or do you want to get Genesis?
Yeah, if you could continue reading 2nd Ezra.
Okay, this is verse 10. "The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand."
So now what you see here is that this is also letting you know what's going to happen. Remember, like, for anybody who says, oh, the Bible like is religious, no, the Bible is spiritual. And this is letting you know about how these spirits run inside this world. That the hand of man is betwixt, meaning it's between. So now it's using this story in an allegorical form to tell you that you have Esau coming first, he's ruling. Jacob is going to rule next. He's holding on to his heel. And the hand of man is holding on in between the two. Why? Because are Jacob and Esau not men? No, what are we talking about here? The other men. The people who are not a part of this story, who are not chosen in this instance, meaning the heathen nations. The hand of man is betwixt the hand of the heel. And I think that Sister Hannah is in here right now. Remember, sis, when you wanted another reference as to the sons of men being other people. This is a perfect example of how men is nations that we're not talking about when we're highlighting a specific people. So what you see here is that the hand of man is betwixt the hand and the heel, meaning whoever is in rulership between Jacob and Esau, that's who the rest of the world is going to follow. And that's why, once again, I think I've brought this example out in the past. The Chinese and the Japanese, they left their traditions and went into the Western world. Go, if you haven't, it should be on Netflix right now. Check out the movie The Last Samurai. That was based on true events in the sense of Japan started to become more westernized. And they left the way of the ninja, they left the way of the samurai, they left the feudal system and started getting more into, you understand, democracy. And started getting more westernized. And they took off their kimonos and they put on suits and ties. Why? Because they're trying to be like Esau. Same thing with the Arabs. You know what I'm saying? They come and do business. They're not dressed up like a sheik when they come to the West. They're dressed up in a suit and a tie. You understand? Business casual. Because they are trying to be like who's ruling the earth. Well, when we rule the earth, when our kingdom comes under our king, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, what you're going to witness is all these other nations are going to have to follow our laws. And that's why we're the dominant cultures on the earth, because even now, who sets all the trends? We're not even in rulership, and we set all the trends. Everybody wants to be a rapper. You understand? Everybody wants to follow hip-hop, our style, our fashion. We set the trends on the planet, because this whole story has been about the serpent seed and the chosen seed. And everybody else is just along for the ride. With that, drop that and give me Genesis 3 and 15.
Count out of one kind. Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman.
So now remember, this is talking about the serpent seed, you understand, and Eve. I will put enmity, I will put hostility between thee and the woman. Thee and the woman's what? Read on.
And between thy seed and her seed.
You understand? So between their children, meaning the chosen seed and the serpent seed. Esau is the serpent seed, you understand, being remanifested inside the earth. And Israel is the chosen seed being remanifested inside the earth, because the Lord started over after the flood. And this is the families that he decided to start over with. Read on.
It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
And then remember what happened in Genesis 25 and 26. And after that came out his brother out. Slakia. And after that came his brother out. And his hand took hold on Esau's heel. And his name was called Jacob. Why? Because this was a prophecy concerning who would be the chosen and who would be the serpent seed. And then now it also is telling us who the other nations will follow, whose kingdom would be first, and how we as a people would have a sign to come of when our punishment was going to end, when our nation would be restored, the last captivity that we would be in before the Lord decides to give us our mercy, give us our rest. And you see this theme repeating inside the scriptures. Well, are these the only identifying markers? No, it's not. Give me Genesis 4 and 8. We're going to talk about Cain and the mark of Cain, and how this
Genesis,
too is a part of
chapter
Esau.
4, verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him.
You know what I want to do, though, before we even do that, right? I want to do almost a review, right? But let's just start at Genesis 4 and 1.
Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
You understand? So he got a man from the Most High. Read on.
And she again bare his brother Abel.
Now, I just want y'all to see something here. How Cain came out first, Abel came out second. Go ahead.
And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
You understand? But Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Dang.
So this is going to show you characteristics, you understand, that are going to replay inside the earth. Read on.
3. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord.
You understand? So he brings of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So now, once again, don't philosophize like the Christians do and say he gave his worst or whatever the case may be. No, it's because there are sacrifices, you understand, and offerings to the Lord that are acceptable and unacceptable. Read on.
Con 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
You understand? And the Lord respected his offering. Because God ain't no vegan, man. You understand? Like remember, our testaments are written in blood. Don't ever get that twisted or confused. You understand? The first testator was these animals. The last was Yahushua. You understand? Those are the sacrifices of the Most High. And really think about it. What's more of a sacrifice? Just growing some plants and setting them on fire, or raising an animal, feeding it, nurturing it, you understand? And then slitting its throat, bleeding it out, burning it onto the Lord. That's what we got to understand. And just to go to show you how a matter of fact, we're going to read on before I say that. Read on.
Con. Verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offerings he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
You understand? Because one shall be stronger than the other. Read on.
6. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen?
You understand? Why art thou wroth? Why is thou countenance fallen? Why is your spirit dipped like that? Read on.
7. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door.
Good.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
You understand? Meaning talking about sin. Go ahead.
Salakia, sir. Quick question. Seeing how 7 mentions sin, and this is way before Moses, can that precept be used as a precept to prove that the law was here before Moses?
I mean, not only that, I'm surprised. I was waiting for somebody to chime in and say it, but not only does that show that we've had the law since Adam, but if we didn't have no law, why were they giving offerings onto the Lord?
Count out on count.
You understand? The very fact that there were offerings that could be made shows that we had an oral tradition of law. I was waiting for somebody to say it. I put these classes together like a syllabus, man, so that this way, every week, a little bit more, you understand, would what do you call it? Would maybe settle in, because like I said, a lot of this is a little meatier. You know what I'm saying? But I want brothers and sisters to be able, you know what I'm saying, to not only review but understand this, and you know what I'm saying. And once again, it's so that one day you could teach this to another brother. Read on.
And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
Good.
8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came in the field.
You're in the matrix again. You're in the matrix.
Oh, Salaki. I see.
Now you gonna have to fix your connection out. I can barely hear you.
Yeah.
He's in Genesis 4 and 8.
Okay, this is Genesis
And
chapter.
Cain talked.
Wait, hold on, Ricard. You can go on mute for a second. Kabah gonna take it, and then we'll come back. You know what I'm saying? You got to fix your service out.
Count out of one count.
Go ahead, Kabah.
This is Genesis chapter 4, verse 8. It says, "And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him."
So now check this out, right? If this ain't the spirit of a white man, Cain won't kill an animal, but he'll kill his brother. You understand? Like these folks will go and rescue a tiger, but lock their doors in black neighborhoods. You understand? Because all you're going to see is repeated themes before the flood and after the flood, letting you know whose spirit Cain really had. That this spirit, you understand, has been in the earth for a very long time. Read on.
Con. And the Lord said unto Cain, "Where is Abel thy brother?" And he said, "I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?"
So now, just so y'all know, right, when folks say, "Am I my brother's keeper?" it's not a good thing. Meaning that when Cain said this, he was saying it like Cain was being an asshole. Let me just say it in layman's terms, all right? Like you know what I'm saying? It's like, where's your brother? I don't know. Am I his keeper? Like, do I look like I'm supposed to be taking care of him? So like that like the whole spirit behind my brother's keeper is he wasn't keeping his brother. You understand? He murdered his brother, and he was talking slick to the Most High. Read on.
And he said, "What hast thou done? Thy voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground."
You understand? So now when it talks about the voice crieth up, don't think like the Christians that like the blood is actually talking. What it means is that he sees the blood and it's making him want to move into action. Read on. You on mute, up. We in Genesis 4 and 11 now.
Salaki said, I think his phone's low. Can you hear me now? Better?
I think he got a phone call. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Verse 11. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
Go ahead.
12. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
You understand? And this is why, right? This is why they are synonymous with the serpent as well. Because remember, the serpent, what did he have to do in order to eat? He had to eat up the dust of the field. He's got to do dirt to eat. Now take a look at Cain. You understand? Cain, like, go take a look at Esau. When they first came over here, who helped them survive in America? It was us. You understand? When they went and they needed all their crops to be tilled, who'd they go and get? They got us from the west coast of Africa. Took in a damn near entire tribe from Sierra Leone just to grow rice because their crops were failing. And then even now in this day, right? Now that they're trying to remove Issachar, they got nobody to go and reap the harvest because the ground, you understand, doesn't yield to them like it yields to other nations. They have that curse on them. They have the mark of Cain. You understand? They are the serpent seed. They are the evildoer inside the earth. Read on.
A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
A fugitive and a vagabond, meaning like these people, right? Everywhere they go, they commit crimes. And not only that, but they move around and just steal identities. They have no culture of their own. They're culture vultures. Read on.
And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear.
Good.
Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me.
You understand? And this goes to show you that this is how you know that there was other nations and other people on the earth right now, because otherwise who would have Cain have been afraid of? Read on.
15. And the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold.
And this happens to this day, man. You understand? Let the Palestinians make one move against the Israelis, and they are leveling an entire block or city. You understand? The white man thought it was the Arabs, or claimed it was the Arabs who did 9/11. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about conspiracies. For now, for argument's sake, we'll talk about the popular consensus. And in vengeance, they went over there and killed 6 million people between Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran. You know what I'm saying? Wiped out every terrorist on that list, on that deck of playing cards that they had. You know, from Osama bin Laden, even all the way over to Saddam, when Saddam wasn't even involved with the attack on 9/11, because that's a part of the curse of Cain. Read on.
And the Lord set a mark upon him, and the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden.
You understand? So he became a vagabond. He became a wanderer. And that mark that was set upon him, you see that today in the serpent seed. You see that set upon Esau today, meaning what? Esau doesn't look like everybody else on the earth. He don't have no melanin. The blood shows through his skin, which is why he's red. You understand? Whenever he gets mad, whenever he gets angry, you're seeing the blood through his skin. Why? Because it's the mark of a murderer inside the earth. That's why red means stop. Red is something that you avoid. You understand? You don't just blow a stop sign or whatever the case may be. It's supposed to signify to you, oh, slow down. There's a hazard coming. You understand? And that's what Esau is. All right, let's drop that. And let's now go ahead and slide over to, remember, he had turned and he had sold his birthright. You understand? And this is why the scripture says that there is no fornicator as bad as Esau. You understand? Because just think about how weak this cat is. Think about how weak you are to not want to have the greatest inheritance on the face of the earth. Let's grab that. Give me Hebrews 12 and 16.
Another one come. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
You understand? For one morsel of meat, he sold his birthright. And this is how you know what was inside that pottage right there. You understand? Letting you know he eats his meat raw. He's a man of the field. You understand? He has all of the attributes of the wicked in the earth. You understand? This is why the enmity was put between the seed and thy seed. This is why we have been fighting with him for the womb, since the womb. And this is also why, like, 2nd Ezra's was such a cut to anybody who wants to say, oh, it's the Arabs, it's these, it's that. No. If this is the last captivity that we're going to be in before Yahushua establishes his kingdom, that alone should let you know that Esau is the so-called white man. And we better come to grips with it. You understand? And you're going to need all of this inside your arsenal, against Christians, against fake Israelites who are really Christians in disguise, who want to love them. And you will see more and more attributes all throughout the scriptures. So, for example, let's go to Genesis 36 and 8. Let me know when you got it.
Give me 1 sec, sir. Genesis chapter 36, verse 8. Slacken. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
You in the matrix.
Oh, Salaki, sir.
There you go. You clear now.
I see what's going on. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir.
And where?
Esau is Edom.
You understand?
Mount Seir.
Esau is Edom, and he dwelt in Mount Seir. You can go on. Matter of fact, if y'all ever saw the hell was that movie, man? Indiana Jones, right? When he went after the damn goblet that was supposed to be what Christ drank at the Last Supper, they showed runes, right, with these pillars in the front. That was really Mount Seir. And if you go and you compare the architecture over in Mount Seir to all the different pillars and such that they have over there in Washington, you know what I'm saying? They're nearly identical. Because Esau started to take over and on different identities, including the name of the Nabateans. And they left Mount Seir, you know what I'm saying? And Lord willing, if Captain Nazariak here right now too, if Captain Nazariak finally give me back my books, Cap, then this would be the perfect class to set. I don't have your books. You have my 13th tribe, my chosen people from the Caucasus when we battled the Jewish man at your crib.
I do have the Caucasus one. Looking right at it, flipping through the pages right now, brother.
And you got 13 tribe.
Do I see the 13 tribe? Let me see.
And that's the one with the missing 50 pages. There's 318 pages in that one.
Oh, that one's mine, and that one I got.
That's you lie like a rug.
At least you was kind. You didn't want to get that call. Let me see. Do I got the 13 trial? I'm looking. Yeah, I believe I got that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I'm looking at it, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A small joint, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I got that too. Yep.
So all right, so Lord willing, if Cap brings these books to class Thursday, what we'll do is we'll get into next week, right? What you see here is Esau, or at least like a portion of them, leaves Mount Seir and then starts migrating north. Then once they started to migrate north, they went amongst the Turks. They learned a little bit of culture there. Then they took over the lands of Gog and Magog. And they took on Japhetic names because Gog and Magog are really Japhites. So while they were there, they would steal the culture. Remember, they're a fugitive and a vagabond inside the earth. So they don't have a culture. They move around taking on other identities until eventually to create a state of neutrality, you know what I'm saying, they stole our culture, our identity by stating that they were Jewish. All right, so we'll get into that next week. But in their own words, that same empire of the Khazars, they said that they migrated from Mount Seir. You know what I'm saying? That before they went and met up with the Turks, they tell their entire pedigree and history and where they came from, showing that the so-called Jewish man is really an Edomite, because Mount Seir was his heritage, was his culture. Why? This is why they're the original troglodyte. This is what, hey, Slacker Cap, you mind if I mute you?
Yeah. My bad, I ain't know.
No sweat. You know what I'm saying? So what ends up happening is inside the scriptures, you see that he is the cave dweller. That's what Caucasian means. You understand? Caucasian means cave dweller. So even inside their own history, when they try to hide who they were, they try talking about Neanderthals and cavemen. That was really them. They are the troglodyte. They were the ones who were just, drawing in caves, had no culture, eating anything that came near them. You understand? Raping women for wives. Like, you go and you look at how Rome was established. You could look up the Sabian women, and you'll see that when Romulus and Remus, who were Edomites, who were the first invaders of Europe, came, they went and murdered the Japhetic tribes, stole their women, and then continued to reproduce with them. And then that's how they created Rome. You know what I'm saying? And then they pushed the Japhites out. They did the same thing in Greece with the Macedonians. That's why if you go and look at the king's list, they have like names that almost look Hawaiian. You know what I'm saying? And then it goes from, you know, Joktan to Philip the Macedonian, because they are culture thieves and they murder, steal, plunder everywhere that they go until eventually they just become the people on a long enough historical timeline. All right. So far, before we move on, any questions on who the Edomites are? Y'all could type them into the chat, or y'all could raise your hand and come up on stage. I'm going to give y'all a second.
Hey, Salakia, Cap.
Good.
Yeah, real quick. In regards to, you know, like Ukraine and Russia, so, you know, the Russians will actually be Japhetic people. Is that what you were saying?
Okay, meaning the original inhabitants of Gog and Magog were Japhetic people. Same thing with Europe. Like Europe, Greece, all those areas were originally Japhetic people. That's why even the further back you go inside their artwork, you see dark-skinned people on there, because that was a dark-skinned nation. But then they come in and, of course, whitewash everything until they become the Macedonians and the Greeks, until they become the Russians, until they become, you know, the Jews, God's chosen people. I underbar. And that's why, like, even when you go, like, there's a certain time period inside of Greece where the artwork completely changes. And if you go and you look at some of, like, the actual ancient Macedonian art, it's nearly identical to, like, those faces that you find on Easter Island in the Pacific. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? West of South America, because the Pacific Islanders, the Australians, you know what I'm saying, the Hawaiians, those are the Japhites of antiquity who were pushed out. You know what I'm saying? Like they were pushed westward, out of Russia, you know what I'm saying, out of Europe, you know what I'm saying, until eventually they inhabited the islands because Esau wasn't sailing there. You know what I mean? And then once again, they took over the identity they took on. Lord willing, eventually in the future, I'll be able to do a class on that, pull out some of the archaeology, but for now, we're going to stick with Esau.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions?
La, sir.
All right, no sweat. We're going to move on. All right, so now, this is exactly why, right, when you read through the scriptures, there's nobody else who's worthy of the punishments of Obadiah. All right? This is why you can see these spiritual attributes all throughout the scriptures. So let's go to Obadiah, and let's start at 1:1. Read it when you got it.
Salakia. Count out of one count. Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle.
So now, meaning that this is the Lord having a prophet prophesy against the nation that has committed the most crimes in history against Israel. Read on.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
Read on.
3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou hast dwellest in the clefts of the rock.
You understand? Thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rock. You understand? Because they are the Caucasian. They are the original caveman. They are the ones who started in Mount Seir. They're the ones who try to rebuild everything after the caves. That's why they turn everything into stone and concrete. That's why they build them high rises all the way up in the sky. They're trying to recreate the mountains. You understand? And realistically, they're, when you compare everybody else on the earth, man, like the real minority in the earth. You understand? And they are greatly despised. That's why everybody got a name for the white devil. All of them. They have committed crimes against every species and every race on the planet. They're the ones who poke a hole in the ozone layer, pollute the oceans, BP oil spills, take all the damn oil out the earth. And that's why you got all these earthquakes happening everywhere, because they're taking out the lubrication that lubricates the tectonic plates. When those plates rub on each other without lubrication, they cause fissures in the earth. You understand? That's this nation right here. They who dwelt in the earth, who's greatly despised. Read on.
Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
You understand? And if that don't sound like, you understand, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, who was the king of Babylon? We went over that the other week. Because this is the modern day king of Babylon. That's who you're reading about. You're reading about the so-called white man. Read on.
Tanarawankan, saith the Lord. Salakia. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle.
Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle. Go take a look at what's on the back of the dollar bill. Go take a look at what's Go take a look at what's on the, what do you call it? You understand? On the floor of the Oval Office in the White House. Then go take a look at every single European flag. You know what I'm saying? From literally, I want to say from the Roman Empire all the way on down to the Germans. It's always an eagle that they use for their representation. If you think I'm lying, look this up. Look up European nations and the eagle. And all their flags will all have eagles on them. Same thing that they said when they landed on the moon. The eagle has landed. They exalt themselves as the eagle. The Bible gives you, you understand, identifying markers to let you know who these nations are. Read on.
And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord.
You understand? They set their nest above the stars. So now, meaning that Israel is the stars. Now, if y'all want to take it literal and you want to talk about the space stations and the Space Force, you understand, it's manifold in that sense. But they try to set their nest above Israel and rule over us. Read on.
5, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough?
You understand? Meaning, like, wouldn't they take till they had enough? But not Esau. Esau takes everything he can get his hands on. You understand? It's never enough for him. Read on.
If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes?
You understand? Meaning, like, think about what you would have to do to remove every grape out of a vineyard. But that's how greedy they are. They steal absolutely everything. They massacre by the millions. This is why there's extinct animals on the planet. This is why every other week a new animal is going on the endangered species list. Because they have to take all the rainforest. Because they have to take all the oil. Because they have to be able to harvest everything that they can until they bleed us and this planet dry. Read on. Continue. You're on mute, Doc. I don't know if you know. Get a brother a second. Can y'all hear me or is this frozen? Slaki, can y'all hear me?